Hey guys, Mario and Amanda here. We're taking this time when it is a bit more quieter with the box and whatnot to do a series of videos and kind of like podcast interviews with each other and hopefully maybe with some other people while we have some time in our hands. Today we're going to go through the athlete life featuring Amanda.
Me, hi.
So we're going to go through some questions, just sort of understand the athlete life a bit better and what it entails and how it all kind of started. So that brings me to my first question.
Podcast one.
Featuring Amanda and Mario. How did this all start? How did you get into CrossFit? How did you discover it? Start from the start.
So I started June 2013. I was accidentally introduced to it by going on YouTube, and I was going to the gym every day doing cardio, and I was doing some weights. So I was spending a bunch of time there.
So like bodybuilding kind of training, or just
just trying to be fit, the norm. Like, let's go to the gym. Let's sweat a little bit and let's lift a little bit.
Yeah.
So I was doing that, and I just got bored. So one afternoon, I started YouTubing different like exercises to do, and I came across this video. Andrea Ager popped up. She's a very elite athlete for CrossFit back in the day, and I was like, oh, I like what she's doing. She was doing like pull-ups and wall balls and box jumps. So I scrolled down to the comments and I was like, oh, what kind of fitness is this? Like, I want to join. So there was comments about CrossFit, so opened up a new tab, CrossFit, showed up all these different movements. I saw different videos of just athletes competing and doing workouts, and I was like, that just looks like so much fun.
Yeah.
Like throwing weights around, throwing stuff around in general.
Yeah.
Like, I was just so used to isolated movements at the gym, and it just looked fun.
And what year was that?
2013.
2013. Damn, that's a long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
7 years.
Yeah. And so you went on the internet, you Googled, you did your research. Did you then Google like a CrossFit box near?
Yeah, so I Googled CrossFit.com, and there it has like all the affiliates of CrossFit, and I looked up the nearest ones. There was 2 near me. I chose the nearest one obviously because of transportation.
Yeah.
And the first go around I went to try and look for it, I didn't find it. So I was like, okay, maybe it's not meant to be. Then I tried again a couple days later, found it, tried it out, and still was like, nah, man, I don't know yet. Like, let me just work on this a little bit more on this.
How old were you?
23?
23. Okay, yeah. Yep.
22, 23. Yeah, so 23, I think. And so it took like a week before I actually signed up. Yeah, did the class, loved it. Didn't show up for another week, and then finally signed up.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And so you got to work at CrossFit. You know, you started to do more classes. Did you find that you were naturally good at it, or do you think that you were just consistent enough that you got better at the movement, or was it a combination of the two? Like, how did you get to that level of I want to start competing? Like, what built you there?
So before I started, I knew I wanted to compete. Yeah. So
why?
I think it's more so the ex-athlete life.
Yeah.
Like, I'm done playing competitive sports, so I guess this would be the next competitive thing I can do. And just saw potential with the movements, very similar to the stuff I did in high school. So, was looking up a lot of like CrossFit Games stuff, and I was like, oh, that looks like so much fun to compete in. And I looked up into being a trainer well before I started CrossFit. So I had read the CrossFit Level 1 Trainer's Guide, had already signed up to do the test before I'd even signed up as a member.
It's Ollie. So So you worked hard though to get there. So like you just kept on doing classes.
Yeah, so there was an advanced level class that they offered, and I was like, oh, I have to make that class. So started going to that class. I was like, oh, I guess I'm pretty good at this, and just built it from there as far as training with them, and then wanting to do more outside of the gym, like for example, running. Just added on. Everyone wants to do the class workout, but when you feel like you want to get better, you just want to do more.
Yeah.
Is the idea behind that. And found a training partner. She was probably into CrossFit for about 1.5 years, and just picked up stuff from her. Had a competition there maybe a few months into me doing it, and I said, let's do it.
Yeah.
Signed up. Got to get started somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how did you do in your first competition?
I pulled off first, but there was
course.
only about 5 girls.
So it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah, so pulled off first. Very great experience, and after that I was like, I know this is something I want to do long term.
Yeah. And so when you did finish that first competition, did it sort of just snowball from there? Like, did you want to train more, train harder? Like,
I think it kind of stayed the same because I had the drive to want to compete.
yeah.
When I saw those videos of like the CrossFit Games and regionals, like I told my roommate at the time when I was looking at that, it's like, I want to do that one day. Like, I'm gonna be there one day. Just watch. Ideally, I didn't think I was. Like, no, it's just a good goal to have, but I know how hard it is to get there. And just with the competition level getting harder and harder every year, I was like, the longer I started doing it, the more reality hit that it probably wasn't going to happen.
Okay, yeah. And that's just to get to, say, like the CrossFit Games?
To just regionals.
To regionals,
yeah.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's regionals and then the CrossFit Games.
So when you were working hard, obviously, to get to that point, you obviously had to make a lot of like sacrifices, and I imagine your day would have to be quite regimented as well.
Yeah.
Tell me about that. Like, what would a normal day be like? Maybe
Before or now?
I think a bit of both. So like in the lead up to it, and then also, you know, the athlete life too, because I imagine it'd be 2 different types.
Yeah, so getting there was probably more physically exhausting than mentally. I didn't have a coach. I don't know how to, back home there's not really that kind of motivation or drive to do that, so I didn't have a sense of direction, and my thought of training to get there was, we have to train every day. Like, those athletes are training every day. They're doing everything they can to get better. So my idea was no rest days.
Yeah.
So a typical day for me when I first started was, I had 2 jobs, and I was working from home for the first half of my day, had an hour break, and then I was working as a lifeguard the second half of the day. And after that, finally I'd go to CrossFit. And the advanced class was, I believe, at 6 at the time. So it was from 6 to 7, and then I would stay later to do extra work, whether it was working on a lift or something to help me get better. And that was my Monday through Friday. And Saturday, whatever I could do CrossFit wise, and then outside of the gym, whether it was running, same thing on Sundays. So
every day.
Yeah, it was every day.
And so that's back then.
Back then.
So would you say that was very much your life when you got to regionals, or did it increase? Like, what happened?
When I moved and made a full commitment to becoming an athlete to compete at that level, I was still coaching, but the volume of training did increase. Yeah.
So like twice daily, 3 times daily?
I would pull double sessions about 3 to 4 times a week.
Yeah.
Yeah. And rest day was probably once a week.
Yeah. Was that a complete rest day, or was it?
It was like an active recovery rest day.
Okay, so like cardio or something just that day?
Cardio, just sweating.
Just sweating.
Yeah, even if it was body weight, it was just sweating.
So in that scenario, what did your day look like from like when you woke up to when you went to sleep?
So when I first moved and committed to just being an athlete and coaching, it was wake up, coach 5 a.m., coach 6 a.m., coach 7 a.m., train from about 9 to about 11, 2 hours. Go back home, take a little break, eat, then go back and train between about 3 to 4:30 before I coached again.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then how many classes did you have after that?
I would coach at the time 4:30, 5:30, and then sometimes 7,
Yeah.
and just do it again Monday
And
through
then
Friday.
repeat.
Yeah.
Wow. So there was just no room for anything else.
No.
Damn. That's crazy.
And I was going to school at the time.
Oh, so you're studying.
Yeah.
When would you study?
My nap time.
Yeah.
Which was study time.
So you have to make a lot of sacrifices then.
Yeah.
A lot of sacrifices. What were like the main sacrifices that you had to make?
Lifestyle or
Just in general, like whether it was lifestyle or it was friendships, it was socializing.
I would say the
Food.
biggest, if I gave you top 3, would be socializing.
Yeah.
Um,
Why socializing?
because I know in Houston they have steak night. That's just an example. Steak night. I'd always get asked to go like, hey Amanda, you want to go to steak night when you're done coaching? Well, the problem with that is steak night equals drinks,
Yeah.
which equals staying out later,
Yeah.
which equals less sleep,
Yeah.
which equals less recovery,
Yeah.
which equals no performance.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just a domino effect
Yeah.
of not helping you as an athlete.
Yeah.
So socializing was one. I had to turn down a lot of gatherings. It really outcasted me, like,
Yeah.
oh, well, she won't go, or
So people stop asking. I
yeah,
guess, as
just people
well.
stop asking
Or
and
assume, you know.
or just shame you, kind of like it's just one drink,
Yeah.
or it's just one night, it's just one cheat meal.
So you would have got a lot of pressure.
Yeah,
from
it's
people.
peer pressure.
Yeah, peer pressure. And that, I mean, that's one thing a lot of people, I think, struggle with, whether it's training
It's just
or,
saying no.
Yeah, saying no. It's the ability to say no. You
Yeah,
stick to that
just
decision.
stick to it.
Yeah.
It's gonna suck. Those who really support you will accept your no
And will not
and
shame you.
not give you pressure.
Yeah.
And those are very few.
That's very true.
Very few. It's
Very, very
really
true.
hard to keep like certain friendships because of that.
Yeah, definitely. Well, so you had to do a lot of sacrifices. What would you say some of your biggest, I guess, highlights would be then?
Highlights from like
Just,
making those sacrifices.
yeah, even just highlights in general, like highlights throughout your athlete career so far.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So one of them is mentality, like committing to something like I'm not going to drink because I know this will affect me as an athlete. So I gave up drinking for almost 8 months just because I knew, like, no, if you're going to commit, go all in.
Yeah.
So that was one, just gaining mental strength
Mental
with
strength, yeah.
knowing what I can and cannot do, moderating things as far as nutrition, more so self-discipline.
Yeah.
Like,
Same.
no, you're not having this.
Yeah.
No, you're not going to go out. You have to train tomorrow. You have to recover. You have to sleep.
Yeah.
So mental discipline
Yeah.
within myself.
What
That's
about like the training highlights of it? I mean, because you're putting so much effort into your pre and post training, which reflects in your intro. So while you're training, you know, did you get a lot of highlights from your training sessions, like PB or personal bests, new times, etc.?
Yeah, so on the times that I did cave in, I knew my training, it didn't feel the same. I felt sluggish. I wasn't performing where I was like, oh, this is good. Like, I actually did really well on this. Huge difference
Yeah.
from me saying, no, I'm not going to go out, and then coming in the next day to train and be like, this is why I didn't go out.
Yeah.
Because this time that I got, this PR that I got, or in the open when we had to compete in the open, like just my performance, like those so many no's was for that.
Yeah. Wow. Because your body is just so fine tuned by that point.
Yeah.
You know, you give it a new stimulus or just new anything, and it just doesn't know how to work with it.
Yeah.
Properly. Yeah. So with your biggest highlights, does that include obviously things like getting to regionals, or you're like
getting to regionals, yeah, because I didn't think I would.
why?
Just because in the Valley you don't see a lot of competition with CrossFit, so me moving to Houston, I saw a lot of that, and I was like, okay, like there's a ton of people that do this full time.
Yeah.
Like,
and take it very seriously.
Take it drastically seriously.
Yeah.
Way more than I did. So for me to see that, it was a big eye opener. Like, okay, maybe your chances have slimmed down a little bit, but I mean, hard work just pays off. That's true. A bunch of no's was a big yes at the end.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah.
So that was definitely a highlight for you, though.
Qualifying, yeah.
Yeah.
It was a bunch of, as much as you don't want to say it or admit it, but it was like, I told you so.
Yeah.
Or I knew I could do it.
Yeah.
When you have a lot of doubters, it just makes it that much easier
to do it.
Yeah.
To justify it.
Yeah.
You know?
It's like when someone says, you can't eat that, and you want it more. Kind of like that.
What other highlights like that you've achieved in your career so far?
I would say meeting like-minded people.
Yeah.
Like, that was really nice. It just, you think you're on this road alone, and then you do it for so long, and it attracts people. Like, hard workers attract people who are like, oh, hey, like, I see you do this, and it motivates them, and it's just like a domino effect. I think that's what I get off more of coaching.
Yeah.
And it somehow feeds into the athlete.
Yeah.
Like, coaching, helping others get better.
Yeah.
Motivates you to, okay, I gotta stay trained, I gotta stay focused.
Yeah.
So it's just an amazing cycle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you find, because you have such a high level of self-discipline and obviously that beast mode when you train, when it comes to coaching, do you find it really hard when you hear excuses? Like how does that, because an athlete, you see resolutions, you know, you don't see a no or the end game, you see resolutions and you work with what you've got as well. So how does that feel?
It's kind of frustrating.
Yeah.
Because it can be done. It's just, are you willing to suffer and stay suffering?
Yeah.
Like, an athlete will look at a workout, and if they saw Fran, 21-15-9, thrusters, pull-ups, our idea is, I'm going to go unbroken.
Yeah.
It's, how are my transitions going to be from the 21 to the 15?
Yeah.
Versus someone else sees Fran, like in class, oh my god, there's 21 thrusters.
That's so many.
Oh my god, all those pull-ups. Like, just athletes are like, no, I'm going to prove you wrong.
Yeah.
And with a member, it's like, or yourself, it's like, the workout is beating you before you even started.
Yeah. So you're ready,
you're defeated.
Not lost. Yeah.
You're defeated already, because
mentally
you've checked out.
Yeah.
Mentally you do not want to do it.
You've psyched yourself out.
So, I mean, you're not going to know.
Yeah.
It's very different,
Okay, so that's the highlights. What about the lowlights? What are, like, some of your top 3, or what the case may be, lowlights that you've had in your career so far?
Well, with the experience, I would say how slow the process was for me to get to where I got to.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, in the Valley, there's not a lot of competition. So, I was really forced to get video motivation, video help. Like, I didn't have a coach. I didn't have many people interested in trying to make regionals like I was. So that really was a bummer with how slow I made the process. Had I moved sooner to Houston or to be around like-minded people,
Yeah.
for sure I would have made it sooner.
Yeah.
And it's just really sad how it took this long, and really sad how old I am in the game.
Yeah. To have, okay.
Yeah.
So it's just that you wish the process happened a bit quicker.
Correct, yeah.
And you can identify where it could have
Yes.
improved.
It could have,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So what's another low light? Is there a particular? It could be one workout that's just stuck with you for.
So I would say movement.
Yeah.
Movement, yeah. So in CrossFit, there's a CrossFit Open. There's 5 workouts. When I did my first Open, it was 2014. And I just blew the water when it comes to the first 2 or 3 workouts. But when it came to the 4th and 5th, that's where they included more complex movements like muscle ups.
Okay.
And that's what dropped me in the leaderboard. And that's what kept me from qualifying sooner.
Because you didn't have that skill. You couldn't.
Because I didn't have that skill.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So that was one of the lowest ones. Had I had that skill sooner, I most definitely would have qualified sooner.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just crazy how one movement can keep you out.
Yeah. Definitely.
One movement.
That's really cool. Okay. So I guess we've gone through a fair bit, which is good. This is probably a big one, and I think it's really relevant, especially now. What do you do when you're not motivated to train? I mean, with considering what's going on in the world, like everything's a bit doom and gloom right now. You know, we're out of our routines, are training from home, doing workouts that, you know, we would prefer to do somewhere else, and being away from our, you know, our Creek family, things like that. But what do you do when you don't want to train?
So as an athlete, I'll give both sides.
As athlete and Amanda.
Yes. So as an athlete, the days I didn't want to train was very rare. But I can relate it with injury. So when I was injured from first my knee, it was very hard to get over the slump of, well, what's the point? I can't train. And I really want to train, but this doesn't want to stop hurting. I can't do anything. I can't squat. I can't run. I can't jump. What do you do? Like, you can't really do a true workout in CrossFit if your knee's hurting. So I found modifications.
to scale, or had to just change exercises? A bit of both?
I had to get in my brain, look, take a step back, fix the problem before making it worse and prolonging you being out.
Yeah.
So I did a lot of accessory work. I worked with what I could as far as cardio and sweating in a workout. It was a lot of upper body for a long time. But I had to give myself a reality check and be honest. Like, Amanda, do you do anything to help this injury get better?
Yeah.
And for a long time, it was like, no, I wasn't.
Yeah.
I was just icing, hoping the next day it went away.
Yeah.
Icing, hoping the next day it went away. And if it didn't, I would get really mad and frustrated. And it's like, no, like...
Well, that's your fault.
Yeah, it's my fault. I'm not doing no. I'm just expecting it to go away.
Right.
And no.
So that would have been a lot more like mobility, stretching.
It was actually form.
Form.
Yeah, it was form.
Yeah.
So it was my squat form. Once I fixed that,
Yeah.
I engaged the right muscles. Yeah.
So you probably had to drop the ego though then as well.
Yes.
You know, drop the weights, like
Yes.
do
Big
the form
time. I did a lot of
correctly.
box squats.
Yeah.
Above parallel. I did
Yeah.
a bunch of good mornings, monster walks. It was a ton of
Yeah.
just rehab, trying to fix the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then ever since, nope.
Nope. So that's the athlete being motivated.
Yes.
What's it like when Amanda's not motivated to train? Like, what do you do?
I changed perspective. yeah, so it's all fun and dandy when we want to train at a particular spot. Like, I'm on a Lifetime train right now. I want to use the machines to train, isolated machines. I don't want to use a barbell. I don't want to do CrossFit right now. But it's like, no, I have 4 limbs. I have my lungs to breathe. I have my health that keeps me moving. I am privileged. I get to work out today. No matter what the movement is, whether it's running, whether it's 300 burpees at a park, I'm sweating.
Yeah.
Like,
You're moving.
I get to work out. And a lot of people wish they could work out, whether it's they're hurting or they're busy with family or they're not healthy or they don't have a leg. It's just perspective. I can't be spoiled. Yeah. And it's perspective of how lucky I am and blessed to have the chance to move.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be at a gym, and it doesn't have to be with a friend. I understand it makes it better.
Yeah.
But we're so used to wanting more, we have to just sit back and be like, this is enough.
Yeah. That's good. That's really, really good. That's perspective.
Yeah, it's all perspective.
Having more perspective, realizing how lucky you
Yeah,
are,
that
which is
motivates
good.
me.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a really good one. So I think I've sort of gone over, tips. What
Tips.
would your top 3 tips be to someone that wants to compete? And it doesn't have to be at a regional level, but just wants to compete in some local competitions. Like, what's your 3 top tips?
1 would be nutrition. I learned that you cannot train a bad diet. You just can't. Like, oh my God, it impacts you in so many ways. Whether it's endurance workouts, body weight movements, it's just, no.
Yeah.
Nutrition.
Okay.
Nutrition's your fuel to perform where you need to be at.
Okay.
The right nutrition as well, because for a long time I was under eating and I performed way better when I started eating more.
Yeah.
So that's 1, nutrition. 2 is consistency. Yeah, it's really easy to say, yeah, I want to compete, I want to do a comp. You get motivated for 1 week, and then after that you just fall down.
Yeah.
Whether it's nutrition or training. It's just stay consistent. If you have a slip day, get back to it the next day. And the last one is commit to doing a comp. It's so easy to just say, oh, I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to compete for this. I want to train for this comp. Well, sign up, commit to it. Yeah. The easiest step is the hardest one to make.
Yeah, that's true. That's very, very true.
Yeah. How are you going to start if you don't sign up?
Yeah, that's very true.
And a lot of people I know everywhere are like, oh, I would love to do this. I would love to do that. Well, we would all love to do things, but start doing and stop loving.
Start doing.
Yeah.
That's really good. I feel like we've kind of gone through everything. Is there anything else that you want to add that you think we could have gone through?
Being an athlete's not easy.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's true.
Everyone thinks it is until they gotta do it, but it's a lot more than just eating right and training. It's a lot of discipline.
Yeah.
Discipline, motivation, commitment. It's just, and time consuming. It's very time consuming.
Years.
Yeah, it's not something you just get overnight. I mean, it took